There seems to be RL Classico in a way, Emmy. That's a fantastic map. It's fantastic for both teams. I've always thought this is Gen.G strongest. I've always thought this is VP strongest. As much as what VP kind of got the, the praise and stuff on maps like Bank until pretty recently, I've always thought Clubhouse has been like just such a good map for them. So yeah, this should be a fantastic game. I expect to see both teams win. That's what we want here. It's the case of both teams should be winning.
Oh, I don't think they can. I think one of them has to win.
Both teams to lose then. That's fine. Both teams to lose.
Both teams could be the losers. As long as it's a good game. But as I said before, so 3 months ago or so in stage 1, these two teams met on this, and 7-3. It was quite even-handed for Virtus.pro. Then it was that final map in the playoffs to get themselves in towards the top 4 for that sort of situation there, and Gen.G just could not overcome a Virtus.pro. A Virtus.pro then secured themselves a couple of other things from that. It's almost like a bit of a revenge match here, and to be fair, whilst they're quite hurt, why not put them out of your misery, right? Virtus.pro, let's be honest, not having a great time right now.
No, VP have really just gone downhill very quickly this stage. I thought they were good inside of stage 1. I think a good bounce back from maybe their struggles that they had in 2024. And do you think things are looking up? We've seen a new VP where we've seen VP playing, joystick on Blitz, for example. I always think, I remember it was on this map, wasn't it? We've seen joystick on Blitz for the first time, and little things like that. We kind of thought, wow, they're actually starting to adapt. But this stage has just been miserable. It is probably the word to use if you're a VP player or a VP fan, or that too. But still, a win yesterday, I think naturally that's going to give them a little bit of confidence going forward. But for VP, the only thing they're playing for is to remain in the overall year standings, combined from stage 1 and stage 2, to get themselves into the EML finals.
Yeah, entirely that, right? It's... it's been a rough run, and I'll get into those numbers in a second. But first, we'll have the start of our approach. And in terms of these bans, not the most unusual. Monty and Maverick pretty consistently banned from the side here of Gen.G, and on Clubhouse, yeah, why not, right? You've got the control of the rafters, you've got shield players, you've got all of these positions Monty can roll their way around in, and then you've got the man that can solve most of those breach problems. They've still got to try and crack through them. Nako might try and play against it at this position. You can keep trying, but you need something else to happen first here, Shepard.
Shepard, he's Uncle Fester. He's just getting zapped.
It is the season. Spooky season, and the spookiest thing. Oh, your hard breach not quite being tricked. Yeah, that was a difference of milliseconds at that, but they get this wall open. 1:30 gone, and they've started their approach here, and they're still steadily trying to clear, but it's a... I don't know, would you say they need to pick up the pace a little bit here, Demo?
It's VP, so I'd say no. I think this is generally the way VP want things going. I mean, all they have to do is take one room between here and getting into the bomb site being construction, which is naturally just given away anyway from the defense, so they're right on the cusp of getting set up for their execute. They still have a minute to go. I think they're fine. Maybe a few picks would help them out in the grand scheme of things, but hey, you look at the the util operators that they have. They've still got plenty in the bank. You've got the Capitao there with still fire arrow. You've got smoke. So look at that peek from Joystick, just slips in and finds that opener. And now VP in a fantastic position now to gear up and try and look at getting this plant down.
That's it. The first is into their favor, and as the breach comes out on the opposite side, they've done that all within that sort of 40-second window. Perfect timing, but the pressure of getting planted is that tricky, sticky bit at this point, and with no keybers to try and rebuild the defense, they're going to have to just work with what they got, which is a mirror window, and now a downed Pasha, but all dead skies. There's Shepard getting dead shot as well, and Virtus.pro have just wrapped around this approach and been able to pick up the kills. Flash will sort of push away the player. They know that there's somebody tucked inside that sort of core of the site in the bathroom. Let's spray onto one. Going to try and keep himself moving onto the second, but run out of bullets. Time and place. Oh, they just slipped past. There's one. There's two. They're going to go for the plant itself. They're waiting for the next swing, and they win it. What happened? What happened? We saw him on the kit. What happened?
Okay.
I didn't hallucinate. You saw planting as well, right?
Yes, I'll tell you what happened. Okay. They have somehow rescued defeat from the jaws of victory.
What happened?
How you lose that is beyond my understanding of the universe. I need Neil deGrasse Tyson to come in and explain to us in what universe that happens. They're sat in what, a 4v1. I think one guy was down, granted. The thing that I was going to point out, and it was about 20 seconds, I noticed that the Ace and the Thermite doubled up together inside of construction and started pushing logistics. Now, I'm pretty sure the Ace had the kit. Ace got downed, therefore the kit was dropped. Thermite never went back to pick it up until right at the final few seconds. All they had to do was walk in and plant, but they panicked. They tried to double swing on the flag. Both of them got taken out.
5 seconds to
The Capital then picked up the diffuser, but where he was planting, he was obviously going to get killed. He only started that plant, I think, with a second remaining. Obviously, then he would have got killed. So then he got off the diffuser, tried to play the kill, guys ran away. Just in what universe do two people try and double up and go for the kill rather than just going for the plant? I don't get it. That is generational levels of throw. Generationals, like, you'll never see that again.
Wow. What a way to start it off. And this is actually where I might drop my not so fun fact about Virtus.pro. So Virtus.pro, obviously, as they said, the core of this roster across previous rosters, across previous orgs, since 2018-2019, have been bouncing around our Tier 1 game. They have never got less than 7 points in a stage. Statistically, of all the stages played, including the ones where they only played 4 games in a stage, they have never got this few points. They could maybe try that if they can get themselves in. They get themselves up to 8 and matches some of their rockier performances, but as the double up comes through, Deadshot goes down. They do get the kill, and there's the cement, which will level things up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 1-for-1 trade. I think VP will be happy enough with that. I mean, Joystick has used all of his util anyways to make sure that wall is going to get opened up by the Thermite. So, yeah, good start for VP. As always, we look towards our Raptors player next. He's the man who's going to be in the hot seat. Sometimes that is literal whenever you're dealing with a Capital. And oh, look at that Pasha. Straight in with the Ying. Able to clear away Raptors. Shepard with another one. And Gen.G are once again on the back foot. But let's just hope VP can actually control it this time. Oh my word. Neko, what a jump out. Shoots the Claymore. Takes down Shepard. And now we're a pause where, obviously for Gen.G, there is still a chance, but it is going to be a big ask if they can actually pull this off against 3 full health players of VP.
This is it, right? It's 3 full health players. They still have a Candela to try and operate on. They've still got the kit, and they've done all the groundwork that they need to. They really don't have to make this one a problem. They didn't have to do that last time either, though, and look how it ended up. Bit of a change of position, a bit of a slip round, and they're going for the breach itself. There's nothing really that could stop this outside of a C4 that is already gone. But it will pick up that loose player. Neko, in the meantime, has been able to get himself up. He's going to try and spray from underneath on towards the planter, but he's not quite in a position to stop it. There's the spray through, but it's not quite enough. Ooh, a second earlier and he might have got it, but instead, Virtus.pro, they actually stick the landing the second time round.
Yeah, I was maybe worried that maybe the C4 could play a part in that, but nah, the C4 went way too early, didn't net any kills, and yeah, got punished because of that. Okay, always. Paparazzi, he's not a fan. Covers the camera. Yeah, I think VP, for me, their fundamentals have been great. You know, getting walls open, all the general stuff that you like to see in clubhouse is being done well, you know, clearing away rafters. Just apart from that first block, I mean, they should be 2-0 up. But right now, I think VP are showing why they're good in this map, because they know how to play the basics.
But it is a map of basics, right? It's a map of get things nailed, get things done structurally, however many times, over however many casters, over however many years have said exactly the same thing about a map that is eternally siege. Is fundamentals are fun for you and me. And VP as well. I quite like those.
Left before insertion.
It is still obviously early sort of doors, and there's almost that element of wanting to come here. And as I said before, Gen.G have lost their 0-2 over the course of this year against VP. Where the split starts to light up for them, it's kind of hard to say. They're quite equally handed in terms of their attack and their defense, whereas Virtus.pro statistically are worse on their attack. They're not massively, not too adrift to the 50% mark either side, but still. This is where Gen.G kind of want to get things at least leveled up, but it's full likelihood we have 3-3 halves here.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty typical, isn't it? I think attackers and defenders, both of them. Things going for them. Clubhouse, everything's been explored. We know certain moments in the game which will just lean to one side or the other. You know, look at basement, for example, Emmy. All it takes is one big util operator getting killed from the attackers, and then they really start to struggle with getting this kind of round under their belt. So I think a VP, again, just keep their Capitao, their Ying alive. They should have no issues with having a fairly easy execute, is what the basement usually is. It is, you know, just an utter bloodshed wherever it comes down to those final 15 seconds, and we're sat here in a 5v5, but that's just the way it goes for Clubhouse. But VP doing their due diligence. You good?
That's just the way it is. Whatever. Things will never be the same as Naku gets the opening kill. Joysticks gone. They lose the Dockerby, they lose an important player, and they lose a big part of their push demo.
Going live.
Obviously not a big fan of, I think it was 90s R&B, but I'm sure Tim is somewhere getting his CDs out.
We're showing the age gap between me and you.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll make it into a TikTok audio for you. The blinds will roll their way through. They're trying their best to hold on now, but the fact that the soft just broke the other side, they're just going to have to send it like this. They do get 2 kills out of it. I mean, Skies at that point, with how much utility was thrown at him, he wasn't going to live. But he probably wasn't going to live if he ran out. He could have tried to get himself to a bit of a safe space a little bit further on towards the site. Unfortunately, instead, now, once again, that man advantage, he's drifted away to a Virtus.pro close down. 50 seconds, still just steadying on. They have one Candela, but so much utility in the pockets of Capitao. Get some of the breaches in, put some pressure on from Dan as well. They're just really, really good at maintaining and ensuring they have enough for this final throws and pressure.
Yeah, should have the darts ready in hand. And with 25 seconds, you still got plenty of time, but it's just clearing away players in towards Gen and in towards Church. But Gen.G, they're not giving up for free. They get the first pick in this execute. Down goes Pasha.
Ooh, Dan, though, instantly fights back, gets Deadshot, who hasn't quite been able to be as violent as they like. This position from Azox is a bit of a risky one, but so is the timer here right now. 8 seconds. They've just got to send it, so they're trying to get it in. Always goes down. It's a 1 versus 1 technically right now. He's sprinting around to try and find a fight. He's going to go for the plant, but Nako should be able to just wrap this one up.
Yeah, Nako just cleaning up house. It was 3 kills for him that round as well. He got the opening pick, I believe, on the joystick. Yeah, VP struggling there with their execute. I think the main thing there was not being able to clear away the player inside the drinks cabinet. You know, on that Church. Usually that's a pause that we always see some kind of player, usually somebody close with a shotgun. In that instance, I think it was the Ella, wasn't it? That position needs to get cleared out. You know, that's a big one to let slip. So I think the util should have been used a lot better. You know, I think whenever you're going for the triple wall, you need to clear away those power positions. Obviously, they kind of dump most of their fire kind of bolts in towards generator. That's where they use that util. Whereas I think maybe if they rotated it and shifted it where he would use his util over towards the triple wall side, they would have a much easier time there.
Is that now 2 rounds that have just been Nako rounds? Because there was obviously the incident in round 1, which I think is just the working title for it right now. But then that one, as you said, got the opener, pulls it round for what was technically a 1 versus 2 in the air, got the down to the other player. It was traded out elsewhere. He's finding these engagements. He was also the opening kill in the round just before as well. He's firing on every single gun. And a second gun in the case of playing a Skopos. Sorry, Skopos.
Hello, Sean.
I almost said it without doing the Sean Connery voice, but I had to circle back round. But the point is, how much of this is Gen.G, how much of this is one player?
That is always going to be a good topic. You know, do you put it down to an individual having an absolute lifer where no matter what, any engagement that guy goes into, you know, he's almost got that indestructible suit of armor on. You know, he's bulletproof, titanium. You can't get through the guy. Or is it the case where VP, probably I would lean towards this, have been letting some things slip. Obviously the first round, or Calamity, even that round, I'm surprised that they lost it. I thought they were setting up in good shape, the operators that they still had alive. I think they were a 4v3, weren't they, as well? So,
Gadget on ice.
A little bit of a worry for me. I think it's more the case of VP need to step up their stuff. But I suppose that's something we've been asking all stage, and it just never really came.
Ooh, the mirror trick. Not the most common scene, but that will get rid of the breach on the other side. So we can hear that get removed. Oh no, it's tucked up just up there, so it'll still go off. And they missed the wrong side of it as well, so the wall still pops. They gave it a go. But Virtus.pro has expertly shown there. We're experts in the matter. Put the exothermic in a place where the mirror window wouldn't get it. Oh, joystick gone again. That is 3 rounds in a row. That exact thing in the top right has been copied and pasted as to who got the opening body on who.
Yeah, big worry. And just to let everyone kind of know how Joystick's been doing this stage before this game, he was actually okay on entries, 11 and 11, so just breaking even there. But I think now what we're seeing is that will certainly dip into the negative column for Joystick on his openings, but certainly unlike him to be losing this many in a row without getting a few back, of course. Now, you did mention, of course, that mirror trick too, Emmy. I think it was pretty obvious. VP probably spotted out that the mirror was there. Mirror in this bomb site, there's only one good mirror window. You set it on top red, looks into construction. The other mirror window, there isn't really any good spots to actually put that. So that's why we see the mirror trick become popular, because where else are you going to put it? So, yeah, VP expertly being able to dance around that. Gen.G, though, all really good pause. I mean, there's players still downstairs. Is there a C4, though? Is the plant is trying to be attempted?
The C4 sort of, I think they baited it. There we go. C4, and it's Mr. Reliable right now for Gen.G. As another comes through, and I'll talk about that first C4 in a second, but we'll get this engagement out first. Pash is going to try and recollect the kit, but Deadshot has it covered, and they can just watch this from long range. Shepard has to now go and try and retake, but it's allowed Gen.G to do this. Retake it themselves. They slip their way through, and they get a flawless round. So, that C4, that first one, the way the Capital bolts were played and the breach that they had, I think they were sort of trying to bait them into saying, let's make them think that we're planting tucked just inside on this side and, you know, force them off. And they did that on the first C4. But then the response of that is, I didn't kill him. Here's the default. Oh, I got that one instead. So they went there, didn't get it. There's the default. Done.
It's the same things again, I think, for VP. You know, they're doing their basics right. They're setting well, but they're losing engagements. They're losing picks. Obviously, Joystick, as we mentioned, has been a culprit for that, but things just aren't clicking at the moment for them. And you look at the surface of how that bomb site typically plays out. I mean, VP, they kind of just steamrolled the last time they were there. Opened up the wall, got garage control, went in for the plant. Easy as you like, but that time, not the case. But I will give so much credit to Gen.G. I think they're playing a really high level of siege. You can see that round, they're not looking to die in silly positions. Didn't even really want to go in towards rafters, for example. They wanted to try and play more heavy with the C4 denial. They still had presence in and around that mid floor, in towards lounge that they could also play from. Just Gen.G changed up their ideas and it worked really well against VP. Everyone will tell you who scrims VP inside of EU. VP are a team that will do the same thing over and over again. Yeah, they will just cycle through their stances and how they play rounds. All it takes is that one adaptation, and you can catch VP by surprise quite easily. You know, that's the biggest issue that I think teams have with VP, is teams who can't just adapt to how they need to adapt their game against VP.
10 seconds
and
left.
right now for Gen.G, I think they're doing that extremely well. Gen.G this entire stage has impressed me. I think every single game that they've had, even the games that they've lost, they've always been close matches. You know, that I think that's a real credit to Gen.G. Every game, even that they've lost, they've always been in the game. They've never been steamrolled. They've never been just rolled about. And this team has just came from strength to strength. And, you know, obviously Leo has been doing backflips this whole stage for them, but he's quite right to do so. You don't give credit to him.
He can do those? I only saw him do press-ups. Damn. They need to reshoot that opening. So, if we're talking about the perspective of how this played out last time they were here in the last season, it's actually kind of exactly the same. It was a 3-1 to Gen.G in the opening half. Virtus.pro took their timeout and then claimed back every single following round. So, for Gen.G, the job is far from over right now. They know the position that they're in. It's a slight different rotate at the sites, but it's still the same potential results here. They have the Clash to be a bit mobile, pull themselves back, and doubling down with the Maestro as well gives you the impression they're going to try and be a little bit hands-off. They've realized Virtus.pro quite late to the races, but with a Brava, shouldn't be the biggest problem as long as they can get that self sort of rolled in and steal the parts of utility that they'd otherwise want. The problem is you also really want Joystick to fight against that Clash, and Joystick's recent track record of not dying hasn't been great as the opening body. So he cannot be that first confrontation. Tuck the breach. We'll get the rotate round through onto logistics, and now they can focus on the other side. Get Jacuzzi opened, full par for the course here, and they're steadying their way through. Apart from Maddox, who takes a bit of a shake through the window, and is otherwise still standing.
Let's deploy.
Oh dear. That drone's gonna have to get picked back up. It has just landed into the vicinity of a mute jammer, but that one hasn't, but immediately gets shot. You can see that he's probing for that Maestro more than anything. That's, of course, what the Brava's been brought in for, but I see much. That is a weird way to be using some of those fire extinguishers and also the smokes as well. It's all from smokes, isn't it? I mean, for VP right now, the issue that they're having is no picks. You know, that's what you kind of need, I think, for this bomb site, because jumping into windows is not going to be favorable and everything. There's just so many guns still up that they have in angles looking onto you.
Well, they're just trying to send their way around Logi. Pasha's able to get the first at the Clash. There's the role of the Sophia. Massively important and gets an easy kill in the end. Pasha crosses the fire and always burns Azox alive. Leaves a 5 versus 2. They were struggling for picks, and then they had pick of the litter. At this point, with only 15 seconds left, Pasha's going to see if they can manage to plant. And, well, with Asa downstairs, under a bit of pressure, they're going to try and take that fight. It's an important one to win. Now they can see if they can stop this. The Luke C4 over the top will just get it! Asa denies it, and he's underneath. He can play himself in a bit of space. They're going for the plant again. Pre-fire the angle, and Dan cements it this time, but ooh, it was almost twice.
Oh, VP. They make things so difficult, you know, and I will say they've won the round, but again, it wasn't clean. There was almost a moment that they could have let that slip again. I do feel as though VP are doing the right things. Like, generally they are. They realize that a guy downstairs is obviously going to be something you have to watch out for. Yeah. And they had a 5v2. They used one of the 3 extra men that they have and send him downstairs to stop that C4 from happening. But then that guy loses his gunfight anyway. You know, I feel as though VP are trying to do the right things, but it's not clicking for them. You know? Look, only 3-2. Like, I'm sitting here saying as though VP are 6-1 down and they have to pull off a massive come. It's not like that. We're not there, but I just think that first round is almost shaking our confidence of VP.
It's the weird sort of thing, though, is when do you talk about shaking confidence for a team like VP, and when do you talk about that is an excuse for the whole stage? They, you know, 2 wins, one of them being an overtime win, and 6 losses. As I said before, they have never gotten less points in a single league split as this core of players. That kit was so almost planted. Shepard being in the perfect place to get that picked back up and them not double swinging windows, fine. But at the same time, you can see the frustration, as you sort of rightly put it, that they were shaken by things going wrong. But again, is that just today? Or is that the fact that, you know, they're bottom of the board? They were cemented bottom of the board before this day even started. This is a team that really, really shouldn't be.
What a game so far. I mean, didn't expect it to go this way, just with the way that some of the rounds obviously have played out. but certainly this stage for VP, it's one to forget. You know, no doubt about it. I don't think this is a stage that VP want to look back on fondly. It has been a long stage for them. Just whenever you're suffering just loss, you know, back to back, it starts to, you know, just go a little bit weary on you. So, but I suppose on the flip side, then you've got Gen.G. I mean, from where they were in stage 1, where they had, remember, a really poor start inside of stage 1, and we kind of think, well, are these guys just gonna be the relegation team maybe this stage? We don't know. To then see them bounce back, get into that top 6, and then carry on into stage 2 and bring that momentum in a position where they could put G2 under a lot of pressure and make G2 maybe have to go out and win their game. It's just not going to be a guaranteed done deal for G2 as what sometimes it usually is. So for Gen.G, you have to give them their flowers the way that they've played this stage, and hey, if they're able to get this win and put G2 under pressure and maybe get that second spot, I mean, what a stage.
I mean, it's also the sort of part of it, right, is if you get the bye, the importance of it, I think it separates you from the major by one best of 3.
One game, yeah.
One game, and you've confirmed yourself for an international performance. They obviously want more than this, but it's massive. And with how dominant Falcons were earlier on in the play day, and how Gen.G are snapping at the heels, there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, G2 are against Matchco. Matchco are a team that this split hasn't been great compared to what sort of surprises they had in the first stage. It seems that barrel is unfortunately a bit thinner than would have hoped, but there's still possibility. They're still a team that can deliver in a game, and Gen.G jumping over that one difference, one best of 3, suddenly who knows where things can go. And at this point, as we take away through this tech pause, it's almost this moment of, I'm not sure if this is going to help either team. Gen.G, they've sort of been a bit back and forth in terms of momentum. They started to pick it up, but I think that there's still struggles from Virtus.pro, right? There's still such a good, well, okay, I'm going to say an average early round because of their tendency to lose the opening kill. Really good mid round. The ending is, I'm gonna put my foot on the gas and see what happens. I'm gonna try and do this with my hands over my eyes. I'm gonna give it a go. And it hasn't been that affirming, I think.
Yeah.
If you stop the count at like the 30-minute mark of every single one of these rounds, I think Virtus.pro are winning them.
Oh, it's that you could show people how do you think this round will play out. You know, It could be like a 5v2 in VP's favor, then no, actually, you're wrong. They actually lose this round. It's always a worry for VP whenever you're losing rounds that you just shouldn't.
Yeah.
Again, we still have that side switch. You know, that's still to come. And in terms of Gen.G, I think their attacks this stage have been good. I think they have finally understand how they want to play Siege. I think you could look at the team whenever they were Ints last year, and obviously that team had Alems on the side. That team did not perform all too well inside of EML in 2024. And they made that change, obviously going to Gen.G. I think Asajiro has been a fantastic pickup for them as well. I think it's someone who understands this role very well. I think they've got an identity, which they just didn't have before. I think they understand how they want to play Siege now.
Well, I think we're taking a little bit of a longer tech pause. So do you want to see me torturing Tim and Dez with a quiz show we came up with in about 3 hours?
No.
Tough. Episode 2 of the quiz show, which I haven't actually seen edited yet, but good luck to them. As we take a quick tech pause, we'll be back with the continuation of this game in but a moment.
Welcome to the Balance Patch, where we find our 2 lovable explorers going into the unknown. A quiz. How are you doing? Production treating you well?
They are, but you're not.
Take 1 point away from Des. He starts on 9. What? Wait, how many seconds does Pengu need on the clock?
20.
Perfect.
Get the debuff. Enjoy.
Which EML team went 2-2-2-3 last split? I didn't fuck around.
Virtus.pro.
Gen.G. Spin that wheel. 9. You have to call everybody Big Dog. Who is this an impression of?
Can I get a store? Parker.
That's correct, but you should have called it technically Big Dog. Who is on each of Fresh's pillows currently?
Big Dog Tim. Big Dog Parker. Big Dog Demo.
You're forgetting the biggest dog of
The
all.
biggest dog of all, Lynx, is our pillow.
Spin that wheel! 5. Every sentence you say has to end in an Ian Chambers kick. This is a buzz-in. They are known as destructible.
Ingredients.
That's correct. Name 3 of the top 6 EML players by EPS last stage.
Loira, Big Dog. Stompin', Big Dog. Pasha, Big Dog.
Number 1 last split. You get to spin the wheel. 6. He gets to trade one of his 2 debuffs to Tim.
Big Dog.
Big Dog it is.
Not a problem, Big Dog.
Who is the reigning esports commandee?
You, Big Dog.
Well, you brought it up. Roll VT. This is all gonna be roll VTs. Roll VT of me saying roll VT. Roll VT. Which team played the most maps last EML split?
Matchco, Big Dog. That wasn't referring to
That
anybody.
wasn't technically referring to.
I was just answering the question. Grow up.
Falcons with 23 maps, unless Dez's stat thing is wrong.
It's never wrong.
Tim rolled a 5. That means he also now has to end everything in the Ian Chambers kick. Which talent member is this?
Leo?
Correct. What was the most banned map in EML last split?
Skyscraper.
Correct. Des wins the episode. Now, Tim, unfortunately, you're going to say a sentence in Danish given to you by our production staff. You will have no idea what you're saying. The twist is that Des is going to tell them in English what to tell you to say in Danish.
Jeg utroligt skaldet.
Do you like episode 2, Demo?
Your bombs from being
Well,
defused by
we
a
are
gun.
back here, Demo. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. And we find ourselves at a bit of a pullback, potentially. I said I wouldn't be surprised by 3-3 halves. It was 3-1. Now it's 3-2.
Yeah, but not 3-3 yet. Could be a 4-2. We don't know. And certainly whenever you look at the basement the last time here for VP, things did not go well. I think that their util placement wasn't the greatest, and maybe just a general lack of information into that final execute. You know, you can't have somebody inside of church still alive as you go in for that execute, and just is being allowed to pick off players running down in towards blue, for example. You know, it can't be happening like that. So yeah, you hope that BP can
and defuse a bomb.
kind of change that and switch things up. They will have to go through a mid-floor hold, though, as Gen.G, they pulled in the castle strategies here, Emmy. Now, this is something that goes back all the way back to 2020, for example, back whenever SSG first came up with this idea of bringing in a castle for a basement defense. And the idea is that you roam in and towards that top floor, in towards the mid floor. You open up as many hatches as you can to allow your defenders to have not only control of different rooms, because obviously hatches are great to play off if you're looking down into areas such as the cold table, but also give you a way out if needed. If the pressure is too much, then you can get yourself out of dodge. So for VP, this should be something that they're used to. Oh dear, that was timing and a half there from Dan. Just lets that guy run past as he did open up that castle barricade to hold on to that angle. As we know, whenever it comes to this SSG hold, as we like to reference it, Emmy, it comes down to time management. That's all that the defenders are after here. Waste as much time as you can, because we know traditionally that basement, it takes a while for the attackers to get themselves geared up and set before they go in for the execute.
Well, they're trying to scream the blitz here across the top and get themselves into a fight, but an early pop of the pipe doesn't matter. Joystick gets an easy takeaway on towards the Legion, and that is one job done. What a great surround that was of that one loose player, and now they have so much to work with and so much still to get cleared. Now this position last time was do and die, but this could be even worse. Asa, what a risk he is taking right now in the hope that a team that we've complimented on their fundamentals pretty continually make a mistake and don't quite check the meat locker. At this point, with all the time that they can still get themselves sorted, here comes the motion from the castle. They're not quite confident. They haven't gone unchecked, and the later they leave it in this position, the more they are a man in a box about to get bullied. There's the bit of the rotate, sitting, waiting patiently, and a little bit of motion with some support from underneath. Just misses the swing. There's two. Can he get away as well? Oh, Asa! What a surprise strike, but what perfect timing to pull the approach of Virtus.pro out. There goes the blitz, there goes momentum, now there goes three players desperately trying to send it down main with what they've worked with to bring this into a round. They get themselves to the bottom, drop on towards Moto. There's a watch still above them and vertical to be done at this point. Gen.G just have to play themselves a little bit closer to their chest.
Oh, any Goyo still remaining, that could be also a big issue. Oh, what a swing there from Echo, takes down Joystick, and yeah, is there a Goyo on the memo door? I mean, if there is, it's chopped here, of course, for VP. They can't get themselves in with the time that they have, and look at this, a last attempt here from Dan, a dying attempt to try and walk in through. Construction is into the 1v1 though. 1 minute left. Oh, how on earth has VP won that? Dan, 8 seconds, finds 3 players. What?
Unbelievable. What unbelievable round. What was that? Twice. Dan, how many times has he been the savior of a round and at points the roster? Just, I mean, full sending it in on dirt, finding 3 kills, not even having the time to reload. If he'd have hit the bottom of both of his clips, it's done. The round's done.
So can I be critical now?
Oh, as critical as you like.
So there's actually 2 things I want to point out. So the first thing is we have to highlight Asajiro and what he was able to do inside a kitchen on that castle.
Yeah,
that was timed really well. He started his approach as that C4 went off to mask his movement, to mask his footsteps, and give him that easy swing onto the 2 players on main stairs. I think that was really, really smart, was using that explosion as that distraction. And the second thing is, look at Deadshot. What does Deadshot still have in his pocket? A Goyo canister. Imagine if that Goyo canister was placed for dirt.
Oh, then the round's theirs.
Just another thing I noticed. Wasting potential utility that obviously would have been round saving for you.
So I made a comment earlier on about the fact that this was a mirror of when these 2 teams played this map in the first split in the regulation season. And it was a 3-1 defensive half to Gen.G, and a timeout from Virtus.pro, and then a 3-3 half, which then turned into a 7-3 game, as Gen.G could not land a single attack. They're going to see if they can try and shake that sort of problem off their back. They have a bit of an awareness on a player around CC that might be a bit under pressure from Nako in just a second. The mute jammer will stop that being entirely enforceable for now, but as the grenade bounces round, Azox wins it out. Pasha tried to find the fight, but Joystick gets Skies right back. That entry statistic, it was so sort of woeful in the opening 4 rounds for him. He's definitely finding himself a little bit more close to the punch on the right side of it in these early engagements. And that makes sure that at least the loss of 1 isn't immediately replicated without anything.
Yeah, it's an okay trade. And for Ella, trap operator, I mean, what more can he say? And then obviously for the recruit, yes, maybe could have had an extra nade and 10 openers, but I think they have still plenty of nades, plenty of hard breach there also. So not a massive loss, I think, for either side. Joystick trying to get out of there, and that's a great pick on Asajiro. Joystick gets the hell out of there too. They're still looking for him. It's they're chasing the ghost. I don't think they realize that he is long gone and all the way back into that basement. Dan, though, he's still in towards the mid floor, still inside a bar at the moment. So he's going to be in the hot seat, and there we go, gets taken out. So Dan goes down. Minute 15. 6 players remaining in the round. This could go either way.
This sort of diaspora of takes here has been very weirdly put together. You're having an engagement like that where Dan is just swinging in the middle of the bar, okay, but then there's also the drift kill on towards Jacuzzi as they mess. Okay, fine. You're looking at these sort of almost, oh, what's really going on engagements, and this is where that'll get a lot more solidified, and I think the pressure is going to work some more into the elements of Virtus.pro because they can just sit back, watch, and sort of wait and anticipate some of these engagements. Nako getting the verticality done bit by bit, but the castles are going to slow things down. There's a lot of punches to have to make and a lot of noise if you're under the risk of a C4 here, just stood in a position. You're either going to have to try and use a Selma or instead this grenade to get rid of what is probably a Goyo canister on the other side. Hey, look at that demo. That's where you could have used that to win a round last time round. Now, pops that on the top of the box and tries to slip and swing their way around on the other side. Azox takes a bit of damage, but as soon as they reveal themselves, spray through the soft, Deadshot gets always on the back end. It's just Shepard left. He's able to look for him in the first fight, but he can't quite nail it at this point. The 3 versus 1, but they know where he is, Gen.G. Get themselves, once again, 1 step ahead.
Yeah, great work from Gen.G. Just be brave. Take your gunfight. You don't have a lot of time left. And I think Gen.G also understand it's a 3 versus 3. It's not the kind of traditional 5v5 basement executes that maybe we're used to. Whenever you're at a position on that basement, whenever you know that it's not against the full 5 defenders, there will be gaps. That entire basement, Emmy, is very difficult to defend if you don't have all of the defenders alive. There are so many different ways into that bomb site, yeah? You've got 3 hatches, you've got oil pit, you've got blue stairs, you've got main stairs, you've got dirt tunnel. You know, I've named, what, 8 different ways you can get into that bomb site? Yep, so there's going to be a gap somewhere. And they more or less just thought, let's go for it. Let's find the gap. He walks straight in to blue, in towards third box, picks up the kills, opens up the bomb site for the rest of his team. They just steamroll it from there. So I think, again, great decision making from Gen.G, understanding the basic fundamentals of this map.
Deployed.
Ooh, at this point now, with that timeout obviously already used, Virtus.pro, they've got to make sure they can find a way to steady this on. As I said, it's even hand for both these teams across this map. It's Clubhouse, they know it well, but Gen.G have that pressure of they've never really been able to beat them on this. Doubling down the removal of the electrics. Pretty par for the course again. For a map like this, gives them the freedom of what they can approach, and instead the removal of hard breach and a blitz against them. A blitz is just, I think, a very popular Virtus.pro removal. They hate getting rid of a shield. If it's not blitz, it's the Monty, depending on the team that they're up against. Still, with this sort of position, the Denari rolling in towards that trap position rather than the Ella. You've got the Blackbeard to play against. You will have some of that pressure instead. As you can see, at least one Virtus.pro player loose underneath to be a bit mobile, to be a bit of a threat. Gen.G are just kind of prodding, poking, trying to get a read on where they can lean in first.
Yeah, it looks as though that they're interested in actually challenging onto these roamers, which is strange considering their team comp. I mean, they've got a really good lineup to actually go just for a traditional catwalk. I mean, you've got Capitão and Blackbeard for doing so, but trying to challenge onto the setup, I don't know if that's the way to go about it. This is where VP kind of wants you to go, and they've lost the Captal very early on, so their execute operator is off the board. In goes the Blackbeard now, and of course there is a C4 still lurking downstairs. If Joystick can maybe rotate over, try and assist some of these defenders, but hey, it looks as though they're fine. Shepherd just takes a 1v1 against the Blackbeard and wins it down with another. Yeah, Gen.G, I think going for this approach, trying to challenge into VP, was not the correct decision.
Yeah, I think the Blackbeard got a little bit messed up by the scenery there. As soon as he tried to melee back on towards, I think it hit the desk and not Shepherd, and great work for Shepherd to push him into that awkward sort of logistical position. However, here's Skies getting one more, leveling things up a minute. And once again, we're in a slightly off-kilter approach towards the site itself, in that it's 2 versus 2, but the pockets of Virtus.pro alone should be able to cement this from the end. 3 smokes and a C4 on CC as a site. You assume they have still some awareness and still lockdown of what's inside with the, you know, play around the Valkyrie cameras, potentially a BP. You should have this one cemented without even really needing to challenge it positionally, but they'll try and slip their way in. The first smoke does pop off, and they're going to give themselves a hop through in towards the site. 25 seconds. Slight change of position, the call will come out and force them off the cams. This is the important thing, because as the execute comes together, it's going to be a bit blind. The smash on towards the Kiva, the roll of the flash out, just force the position and go in, but the C4 goes a bit loose, and there's the Zofia, can't quite get the connection over the top of top red. They're throwing themselves in, 7 seconds, Virtus.pro doing the right thing, tucking themselves further and further and apart, and now they'll swing into the last fight. There's at least the down onto 1, but the other long since gone.
Yeah, played that really well. Good utilization of the C4. Sometimes C4 don't even need to net kills in the final few seconds. You know, sometimes that people think, oh, you need to keep the C4 to get a guaranteed kill. That C4 saved his life. Yeah, that flashbang comes in. Obviously, the Dokubi was hoping to flashbang, jump in, take an easy 1v1. Fire the C4 back. Use your own util. Use that as your own deterrent too. You know, it stopped the Dokubi from going for that play, then had to almost leave his teammate there in the 1v1 up against the smoke, where they would have liked to have pressured them, you know, the smoke top red at the same time. So yeah, good work from VP. Good 2v2, played it really well. Plenty of info, of course, still with that Valkyrie. Azox losing out that engagement with Shepherd was a tough one, but yeah, like I mentioned, I feel as though they would have had much better success if they went for the traditional garage take. They've got operators. Yes, there's an Azami on the board. I understand that's a tough operator to go up against whenever you're looking at the rafters. You can obviously make that cover pretty easily to dip and dive across bullets, but you've got nades, you've got the fire arrows. All you have to do is open up that main breach and the guy's got no way out of there. So yeah, I don't know. Just, is it a me problem? Probably. That's just the way I like seeing it done, but I'm here to give my humble opinion on it. And no, I'm technically your job. I'm not Matimio. That's don't reference that.
4-4, and my prediction of a long one all the way into OT gets more and more sort of actualized, but it's been a weird route of getting here. A couple of mistakes and a couple of big punishments, and oh yeah, I'm still thinking about that first round. I can't stop thinking about it, and I think neither will Virtus.pro, regardless of how the rest of this goes. That was a Kiba that didn't quite activate properly. The Joystick's able to escape with his life. Boogie drone just to go for a swing and a chance at a grab with somebody playing around on towards the kitchen corridor, but nobody was currently home, and it will speed up some of this approach here, get this verticality done. Remember last time we were here and it was a 3x3. It doesn't feel like Virtus.pro want to replicate that with a tall hold. Instead, they have a little bit more heat around this mid floor and a bit more support, but does Skies know about the player that's in garage, or at this point, do they even really care? There's the roll around. And there's some of the pressure on towards the hatches, but they have enough time to sort of set themselves up with a watch out. Depends where Pasha wants to root himself, really.
Well, I mean, they've lost always, and he just died instantly. Didn't really have anything going for him. Nobody was there to trade. It was just a solo guy in towards that top floor. But like you mentioned, it's still Pasha. But he needs to do something. It's all well and good having a guy in garage, but you need to get a little bit aggro here. You know, your team's down a man. Time is slowly ticking away. And he is going to start his approach. And obviously he's looking for this guy in towards blue. And yeah, there we go, Pasha. Great play. Doesn't think about going back to site. makes himself a constant threat, still lingers in and around that mid floor, could even go all the way upstairs if he wanted to. So now this is going to be something that Gen.G have to think about. It's going to be in the back of their heads. That guy hasn't been back to sight. Where is he?
This is it. The other trade-off of this is it's a 4 versus 3 now, on towards the site itself, and they've got to try and make it happen. Unfortunately, now it's even, and at this point, with the fire on the door of dirt, they can't even put the site in too far. Traded out again. 2 versus 3. Pash will get himself back down towards the site, and Asa takes all the damage in the world to cross the divide and try and offer some support towards Nako, but at this point, they both slip their way in. However, it's just going to have to be a watch. Swing through the reveal of the bees. They know the place of the player, and they can go for the plant itself. There's the swing round. Misses the first player. Picks up the second and gets the cement on towards it, but the pressure's coming from all sides, and there's a perfectly placed Goyo just to stop exactly that plant. With 18 seconds, he's been able to make magic happen before. He's able to get the player back up, but it gives Virtus.pro time to move around. One's behind the A case, one on the long watch. And at this point, Asa doesn't have a lot of help to work with, and even less time. Pre-fires on towards one. The second is left, and Virtus.pro, they're very good at that end game of just not doing anything, disappearing, being not in a place that can get shot.
Yeah, that's twice now where VP have won it in the kind of final few seconds where you're dealing with, 2v2s, 1v2s. Just run away. That's what VP are really good at. And for Gen.G now, that's 2 rounds in a row where, yes, it has been really, really close to almost getting that win, but it just hasn't clicked at the final few seconds. That Goyo you have to highlight. I mean, it could not have been popped at the perfect time. Graham getting absolutely cooked alive. Again, this is a good approach, though. I like what Pasha was doing. Being able to take out that player over towards blue, still being up as a constant threat. And that Goyo was just, perfectly timed at the right moment. Joystick gets some great shots, too. No doubt about it. Yeah, overall, I have to, again, give credit to VP there. Understanding how to play that end game. They know the util that they have at their disposal. Goyo, massively strong operator, I think, throughout this year. I think he's really made a name for himself inside of just every region. Goyo is always going to be there, especially for basement sites. That's where we see him have so much value, just because generically for basement attacks on any map, it takes a while for the attackers to clear the rest of the map and then finally move down in towards the basement and start, opening hatches, opening walls, whatever it is you need to do. Just Goyo eats away just so much of that time, and he gets 4 of them as well, Emmy. So many opportunities to place those Goyos.
Well, as they've fallen 1 round shy of it, they don't want to fall 1 round shy of getting themselves in towards pity points, which isn't a Gen.G party right now. Remember, obviously, Virtus.pro, they're trying to play for their chance to getting the full 3 and jumping themselves up towards that end-of-year board. Here for Gen.G, they have the chance at getting a top 2 position, which just separates them from an international position by 1 best-of-3 series, as close as they like. But falling a bit short here against a team that's a bit out of form this season.
10 seconds left.
That's probably not going to be something that gives them a lot of confidence. They need to find a way to get over their clubhouse demons against Virtus.pro and actually get this one pushed over the line. Remember, the team has been able to get themselves 5 wins and 2 overtime losses, with only 1 being in regulation. Do not want this one to be the second. Nako is still just having an unbelievable game, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has been one of those players that we've kind of looked to, or having that kind of big rise, I think, compared to last year into this year. I've been very impressed with him. I mean, just overall, I mean, if you look at the Gen.G stats, I think Deadshot is still statistically their best player so far this stage, which is expected. I mean, Deadshot, in terms of experience, has the most on that roster. We've mentioned before about this is a good opportunity for them to get in towards that top 2, 1 game off an international event. I mean, Deadshot has been to plenty of them. He knows what it's all about, getting to those types of events and playing to those standards.
Pasha trying to be that first point of call here inside CC. Wants to see if he can get something before he's drifted away. And, well, a Selma, he'll take that. As the drones start to roll in, he slows their approach from utility. Now, they know exactly where he's gone. But at this point, with the castle standing in the... Oh, not a castle even, sorry. With the player standing in their way on the back end of the pop-up here from Azox, they can't quite net themselves. This kill on the back end drifts their way. ready for more pressure, and they're sort of playing their life here at this point. There's the swing, the removal of the Melusi gadget, another bit of utility. We talked about how clean some of the utility approaches were before, and did his best, bless him, but unfortunately, it's hard to do that when you cannot actually see. Always a bit too late, but think of the utility and think of the time that's been taken out here, and yes, they're inside CC. Now they got to see if they can try and formulate the strike onto the site itself.
A minute left. Still time here for VP to try and hold out. In terms of denial, all they have really is just the Goyos. No C4s are going to be available to them to go downstairs. So if these canisters get popped fairly quickly here, Emmy, then there's not much that is going to stop Gen.G from trying to initiate plant. Now for Gen.G, what they have to assist with that? Well, they've got a full health Capitao who's got all of his util intact, so getting those fire arrows in, that is going to be key here. That's what Skies needs to try and land. And first we'll start with the smokes to try and cover off areas such as the Logia rotate, and then I'm sure use the fire for areas such as bathroom.
And there's the pressure, there's the explosion, and there's another explosion that nets a kill, but there's at least one kill traded back. Planting close on the wall. Can they cross the divide? Somehow, Shepard! How was he able to go that far on the distance before the cover operated? We've gone from what was a 5 versus 3 to a 2 versus 2. Make that a 2 versus 1. Always in joystick, no health, and a VP giving the full reveal always again. That pushes them onto at least a guaranteed point here, Demo, but it all just fell a bit apart.
Oh dear. No coverage in the middle of the bomb site. I mean, Shepard has been able to do, you know, he's like fresh at the moment doing a marathon. Just runs through it, nobody there. Wow. Just that one missed element of that execute there has completely botched it for Gen.G. Everything else looked good. The utility dump in towards bathroom. You allowed your teammate to get into gym and start looking for that plant. No coverage to stop him running into the middle of the bomb site. That's a tough one again for Gen.G. A lot of tough rounds, I feel, have kind of happened. You know, I think for both teams. Both teams will... It's weird. I feel as though we've seen a lot more botched executes than what we have seen executes won today. I don't know, is that correct? It feels like that.
Yeah, well, it's sort of what I said in the previous half but about Virtus.pro is they were average at the start, great in the middle, and then sort of tapered off towards the end into complete collapse. It was time and time again. We're sat there sort of, you know, going, what's going on here with VP? Apparently the same questions to be asked of Gen.G there. I don't think it's as extreme, but I don't know what it is about, especially that site today. Because there was also almost that other time where Virtus.pro lost it with in the 2 versus 5 and the 2 versus 4 where the C4 came up through the floor, and I don't know, it just feels like that final moment is slipping into uncertainty.
They need some secret tips and tricks, I think.
Yeah. Get them
very good at that bomb site. Very good in that bomb site.
Well, that was, I think, one of the teams that actually beat VP on this map this year as well, so they definitely at least learned something from that, but not enough. Either way, Virtus.pro, to guarantee themselves a point in this sort of situation. They're obviously, you know, because of the loss the Wolves faced earlier, they weren't facing relegation, but they want to try and jump up as much as possible. If they get a full 3 here, in the overall for the year, they temporarily, potentially jump over Matchco.
I don't...
Yes, they do.
Yeah, the point, they do, because round difference,
And they put a bigger difference between them and BDS, which is the sort of team trying to fight their way up from underneath that top 6. Get yourself in towards those playoffs. Not these playoffs, but the end-of-year finals. So, their dream of getting themselves into best of 3s on an international stage, still pretty alive. Always, somehow, still alive.
How? How is he not dead? He's just wandering around top rafters and nobody's caught onto it. Always is still alive. I mean, I don't think he'll be alive for much longer because those fire arrows aren't ready for him. Flashbang goes in. Always. There we go. Gets cooked alive, but Neko beats the fire to the kill. So Garage is in favor of Gen.G. That's always great to see, and they've got good time as well to finish off the rest of the round here. Emmy, a minute left. They've got downstairs control too, so trying to make sure that C4s are not going to play a factor from below. But still, the C4s can be an issue just from over the top rope, over from the other bomb site. We've seen plenty of C4s connect and ruin attacks here a lot of the time. Asa is the player with the diffuser, so that's the man that we need to try and watch. See where he wants to try and operate and move in with that plant. But 30 seconds left. No util though, apart from, I think, just one flashbang.
Oh, how's he getting away with that? Sidestepping, drifting, too fast, too furious, too joystick. And now, with 2 players dead on the approach and a lot of smoke canisters popping over the site, will this be one more round towards the end? Headshot. Nice. Gets the Metal Gear Solid kill, and then gets himself a second. Doesn't quite get the third as Pasha's tucked on the corner. Sky straight it out. It's a 2 versus 1, but it's a plant situation, so he's just going to try and lock it out, but he's pulled away. He's going for the rotate. He was so close. Clever idea. Tricky to execute there, and now they know where he is, and they know he's back and forth either side. With that wall solid in the middle, well, he's just going to have to do this. Somehow does. Clip his way. Almost secures the kill as well. Gets one. Into the 1 versus 1. He pulled off a massive clutch earlier on. Back to his pistol. Skies is out of there. He's chased him down! Dan! Bloody Dan! Eternal for Virtus.pro. I said it when he did it. How many times? At least one more.
I actually thought that was genius from the Twitch.